Good morning, everybody. Derek Johnson with Tatango.com. It is Friday, and yesterday, a lot of people are coming back from Mobile World Congress in Spain. I'm actually here in Seattle, as you can see with the Space Needle here. Beautiful day out already in Seattle. And one of the things that a lot of people were noticing about Mobile World Congress in Spain, besides the weather, was the hype and the excitement around RCS business messaging. I've done a lot of blog posts about RCS business messaging, but we're getting a lot of questions right now from brands about when they should start investing and looking into or starting to build RCS messaging experiences. And that's a great question because you've seen a bunch of really cool demos and pilots, but when is the right time for your brand to start investing in RCS messaging? So that's what I'm going to answer here. There's a couple things that I think need to be done before you actually start investing. And this has actually nothing to do with your brand. It has to do with more the industry and where RCS messaging is currently at. So the first thing that I would recommend is wait until there's a price per message or a price per session, some type of pricing that is going to be standard for the entire industry for RCS messaging. I say this because RCS messaging has currently no price. There's no price set, which scares me because messaging is all about return on investment. And if the cost per message or the cost per session for RCS is too high, then no matter how good it is, it just will not produce the ROI that is needed to make it make sense for a brand. Again, brands are in marketing to make money. They market to make money. They produce ROI. They spend money on things to get a return. If they have to spend too much money for not as much return, then it's just not a good marketing campaign. And that's where RCS could fail if the cost is too high relative to the experience or the return on investment that they're going to get from RCS messaging. Okay, so that's number one. If you're a brand, wait until the price comes out. Number two is adoption. This is key. Now, RCS is really great. There's some really cool pilots going on, but what you have to remember is RCS business messaging works on almost no phones right now. Now, it's slated to work on a bunch of different phones, but currently, most consumers, almost all consumers, especially ones that are using Apple devices, cannot use RCS business messaging. So that's a big problem because for a business, you want to hit people and consumers with a message that can be actually read on the phone. So right now, let's say it's less than 1% of consumers can receive an RCS business message. That's not worth your time to invest all this money and effort in building an RCS campaign for less than 1% of users. That's not worth it. So wait until, now that's a personal preference too, whether we're talking 25% penetration or 50% adoption or penetration in the market, that's going to be up to you, but wait until it's much higher than less than 1%. And also depends on what country you're in as well, because Apple in the United States takes up a huge percentage of the market share, and currently they're not adopting RCS. So let's say it's 50-50 Apple and Android in the United States. Right now, RCS really can only capture 50% of the market. So if you have 1% of the market that can use RCS business messaging, you're really only talking about 1% of 50%. So it's even smaller than 1%. So those are the two things that I would wait for until your brand starts investing in RCS messaging. Now, once actually those things come to fruition, so you have a price and you're happy with the adoption or penetration of RCS business messaging, so your consumers, majority of them or a certain percentage can actually get the message, then it comes down to ROI. And there's two things that I think you need to factor in for ROI for RCS business messaging. One is the cost. So how much does it cost? That's per session, per message. We don't really even know what the price is or what the pricing model will be at this point. The second one, which I think is important, is how much effort are you going to have to put as a brand to build these RCS experiences? Now, a text message is 160 characters, very simple. MMS is 500 characters with an image or a video or a GIF. Not relatively easy, but some of these RCS experiences have buttons, carousels. It's more like a chatbot experience. So you're gonna have to look at the time and effort that you as a brand are gonna have to put in to build out this entire experience. So if you're doing mass messaging, I don't know, it might not be worth it to build out an entire chatbot experience for just one mass message. Maybe for a true chatbot where you're ordering tickets and that can be run year round, that might be worth it because you don't have to keep rebuilding it. But if you're sending 2-3 mass messages a week and you have to build a full RCS experience, that return on investment might not be there. And again, the ROI, it really depends on what the cost of the messages are. So I think that's the two things that you have to take into consideration here with RCS business messaging is first, wait until it's ready. And that is a price and when the adoption or penetration of RCS business messaging on consumer phones is worth it for your brand. Then, once it is actually ready and once you feel comfortable that it's ready, then it comes down to what the ROI is, and those two things are the cost per message and then the actual resources and even brain power that's going to take to create these campaigns. Because you always have the alternative of MMS and then SMS. Or even other stuff. You have direct mail, you have email, social. RCS is competing with a lot of things that are already established that already have ROI. So hopefully that helps a lot of the brands out there. You're seeing a lot of demos, you're seeing a lot of hype, which is great because the technology is amazing, the things you can do. But I would wait until some of those things are kind of established or thought through until you start investing in RCS business messaging. Again, my name is Derek Johnson with Tatango.com. Feel free to leave a comment if you have any questions or you disagree. I'd love to talk to you. Thanks.